I am so excited to share my latest resource, downloadable print your own flashcard decks. These have been created following my many years working with children of all abilities in the clinical setting, and my themed flashcard decks work. The kids love them because they're engaging and they encourage movement, learning, coping skills, and just plain fun. From dinosaurs to Halloween, each deck includes suggested and themed centering techniques, warm-ups, guided meditation, relaxation, yoga-based movement, and games. Each card in the deck includes multiple yoga-based practices to choose from, meaning you can enjoy a different experience each time you play, and there will always be something that's suitable and accessible for the child you are working with or the setting you are working in. These are highly adaptable tools, and they work in the classroom, hospital, office, or home setting. Download and print on card or paper stock of your choice and enjoy creative, adaptable, and accessible adventures for many years to come with children of all abilities and in all settings. I promise you will not regret adding a set of 2 of these to your resource collection. And keep checking in. I have created a lot of these decks over the many years I worked in the clinical setting with children of all abilities, and I'm slowly updating and releasing them to the public so that all children can benefit from these wonderful tools.
Hi, this is Lisa Roberts from Yo-Yo Yoga School, introducing movement, meditation, and mindfulness, a training program for pediatric professionals, educators, and parents. Today's webinar is session 18 of this series, and we'll be exploring developmentally supportive and developmentally appropriate movement, meditation, and mindfulness sessions for the teen and young adult population. So talking 13 plus. So what is typical of this stage? At this stage is very much the same as tweens, which we covered in a previous webinar. And tweens are experiencing, and teens are experiencing dramatic developmental changes within the body. So a lot of physical changes, hormonal changes, fluctuations, growth spurts, major body changes such as breast development and fat deposits for girls, boys, the voice changes, and muscle mass development. And of course, at this age, the hormones are raging. So these are really important things to consider when teaching movement, meditation, and mindfulness in terms of adapting your session to be sensitive to meet the needs of the kids who are experiencing these changes, but also providing teens and tweens with the tools that they need to navigate these changes. Teens especially, because we're getting a little bit older, are starting to really struggle with their identity and understand who they are. We talked about in the previous webinar with tweens, starting to be really concerned about what their peers think, and this continues into the teen stage. But then we're also leading into discovering who the child is or the teen is as an individual, what they want to do with their life. So we have all these additional pressures coming on. We're starting to think about college and college applications, what subjects to follow, grades at school to get into the appropriate college. So there's a lot of additional pressure. Some of this is from the student themselves, some is from schools, some is from extracurricular activities, and some maybe from the parents too. So again, movement, meditation, and mindfulness can help provide coping skills for children who are navigating this challenging time as we transition from teen to adulthood. So let's talk about contraindications. So growth spurts and body changes are really the not quite contraindications, but things that must be considered that you may need to modify and adapt for to support the teen. And to be aware during this stage of 13 plus for the transition from teens to young adults, most females have typically completed their growth cycle by the age of 18. In some cases, boys may still be peaking. So it's just something to be aware of, that girls probably most likely done by 18, but some boys may still be changing, growing, developing, and you'll need to step in and help them modify, particularly with stretches if they're experiencing tight muscles from rapid growth spurts. So let's break it down. Let's look at movement for the teen and young adult population. So it's essentially an adult practice at this stage. They can do most of the stretches and the length of time that an adult can practice movement, meditation, and mindfulness for. But just be mindful when we're thinking of movement and supporting teens and young adults and applying modifications. I like to think of this group as adults, but very sensitive adults. So really approaching it with a sense of compassion, kindness, and patience, and helping the teen cultivate those things toward themselves: self-compassion, self-kindness, patience toward the self, and not really trying to force any stretch or movement, but understanding how their body works and what their body needs. Choices are very important. I like to encourage self-reflection, especially at this age. And we can do this by, hey, what does your body feel like? What does your mind feel like? What do you need from your session today? What is your body asking for? And really teaching tweens to listen to their body and respond in a mindful way. And this can come with the choices of which stretch we're doing, how deep we're going, if we're going to use a modification, and really teaching that ability to self-reflect, recognize what is needed, and then approach their session mindfully. So offering adaptations, modifications, and support, offering choices. So and this comes down to, if you're leading the session, you being knowledgeable and knowing what alternate postures or stretches could be provided, how you can support using props or language or cues, how you can modify or adapt each and every posture or stretch that you're offering to suit the needs of the child you're working with. Very important to continue, because my work, my movement, meditation, and mindfulness program, and my work for the last 10 years has really been focused on a yoga-based approach. And utilizing the breath for movement and stretching is very important. It helps to stretch safely. The breath is like a little personal alarm system. So if we're going too deep or pushing too hard, we're going to go into stress breathing. So if we're aware of the breath and we're using our breath as a tool, the moment that happens, we become aware, and that's our sign to back out and find the stage of the posture or stretch where we're not forcing, we're not pushing, and we can breathe easily. And this is really important to teach to teens and young adults. This also carries onto other parts of their life, off of the yoga mat or out of this session, where they learn to be aware of the breath and when stress breathing is occurring, and to be able to step in and self-regulate and take control in all situations. But speaking specifically about movement, it just helps you to stretch safer. We're moving, so we're expanding and creating alignment as we breathe in, and then moving into the stretch with ease and grace as we breathe out. And it really helps because it's following what's happening physiologically in the body anyway. So we really can create that space and alignment on the inhale, and then use the exhale to release those muscles as we move into the stretch. So you do stretch deeper, you do stretch safer, and then you're also getting the mindfulness, the meditation component in, coupled or married with your movement. So there's a lot of bang for your buck out of using the breath, and it's so important to teach teens and young adults to start accessing their breath and being aware of what's happening and how they can really control their body and their mind via the tool or the vehicle of their breath. And so important to educate. This age is curious about their bodies. There's a lot of changes going on. So really just explaining the why behind each stretch, how it helps. It helps teens and young adults to know what works for them from their session that they can carry on and practice on their own without you. So it's really important to help, the whole package here is by providing choices, teaching self-reflection, and then providing the tools of what is supportive, how things are helping them that you're offering. And that can all tie together. It's a little package that the teen or young adult takes with them. And as they're learning to self-reflect, they know what they can do to support themselves. So meditation, incredibly beneficial for this group for all the reasons I've already discussed. There's a lot of pressure at this stage. There's a lot of changes. And as we transition from being a teen into adulthood, there are lots of physical changes. There are a lot of developmental changes in terms of psychological and emotional development. There's a lot more pressure as we kind of step into adulthood, trying to figure out who we are and what we want to do with our lives. So there's a lot going on. So meditation is just a wonderful tool to help children center, let go of all the noise, become focused. It helps with exams. It helps with college interviews and college applications. It helps with interpersonal relationships, driving tests, when children are starting to date, and all these situations where just being able to take a breath, be centered, meditate, relax the mind, relax the body is just a super helpful tool for anybody, but especially at this transition point. And again, these are life skills. So once learning these and applying these skills and learning how to at a very young age can really support children as they segue into adulthood, but then it's something they can carry with them for the rest of their lives. The deep relaxation that comes from meditation and guided meditations and progressive relaxation techniques that we teach in this program can really help with those dramatic developmental changes that are occurring and the hormonal fluctuations and just the big body changes, where that could be really tiring when your body is going through all these changes. So providing the tools, providing the permission, and providing the awareness for teens and young adults to step back and take a break and apply some self-care. So progressive relaxation is a great tool because I like this working with teens because, again, it's that we're encouraging self-reflection, but also that body awareness. So we'll start to learn where our habits are through progressive relaxation. Oh, I tend to hold my shoulder up here, or I tend to clench my fists, or I squeeze up my toes even when I think I'm really relaxed. So again, we're encouraging self-reflection, but also teaching up any habits that may be something that they can then particularly work on and be more aware of where they're carrying tension in their body, how it feels, and then of course how to correct it. So some resources I recommend here for the teen and young adult population. From Teacher-Child Meditation, I have the book here, so that's you can find that on Amazon, on my website, on most major booksellers. It is published by Sterling in New York City. But Teacher-Child Meditation by me, Lisa Roberts. There's lots of techniques in here that are suitable for all ages, but specifically for teens and tweens. In that book, I like Ocean Drift and Silver Thread Breathing. And this is also on the CD Breathe. And that can be found on my website and Amazon as well. It's also available as individual MP3 downloads on my website. So they're helpful tools. Of course, these are just to inspire you. You're welcome to make up your own or find some other resources, of course. Also on Breathe, we have Spiderweb Breath, which is a variation of Silver Thread Breathing. And then I mentioned A Day at the Beach and iPad Reboot and Recharge. These are progressive relaxation techniques that can be found on Chill and Chill 2. Again, same MP3 downloads available on my website, and the CDs are available also on my website or through Amazon.com. So the iPad Reboot and Recharge is a particular favorite because this is a great analogy when working with most kids from the age of 5 up, really, all seem to be aware of electronics, either own one or share one with siblings, and are very aware that if they have all the apps running at once, it kind of runs a little sluggish. Or if they forget to charge it and plug it in, and then they go to use it, the battery dies. And that's a great analogy for our body and our minds, because we have a lot of different apps, we have a lot of things going on at once, and it really helps to close those apps down, take a step back, close our electronic, our tablet or our iPhone or our iPad or whatever we have down, and then plug in and recharge. So to use that analogy and tie it to the body, it's something that has a stake for, you know, a young child or a teen, or even and a tween or young adult, because they really, especially this new generation, the generations coming up, they don't know life without technology, and we rely on it for school, for work, for social outlet, and so it's just so important to them, and to make that analogy, then they really get it and they understand how important this work, this movement, meditation, and mindfulness is for them to really function at their optimum capacity, just like their electronics. So mindfulness, when we talk about mindfulness, mindfulness is mindful movement. We're doing this through this work. Mindful breathing, providing those tools and skills, and self-reflection, so important. Really encouraging that self-reflection. And I do this with the patients I work with. I always it will introduce a spiel, especially if they've been working with me for a while and they've had a little bit of experience of everything. It's like, what do you feel like today? Do you want to do a gentle in-bed stretch? Do you want to get up out of bed and do something a little bit more energetic? Do you want to get on a yoga mat? Would you prefer to sit in the chair and do a modified practice? Does your body need something a little more active or restorative today? Or would you prefer just to do some breathing techniques? Or do you want to focus on meditation or guided relaxation? So there's a lot of choices there. And maybe it's a combination of these things. And, you know, I really encourage, like, take a moment, like, close your eyes, just notice how you feel. Just be quiet, turn your attention inward. What's your body asking for? What's your mind asking for? And that really encourages that self-reflection. And sometimes, in the case of me working with critically ill children, it's like, I don't really feel like doing anything today. And that's when I really will talk to the child and say, hey, that's okay. That is practicing movement, meditation, and mindfulness. That is practicing self-reflection. Sometimes we do turn our attention inward, and it's like, you know what? I just feel so crappy today. I don't want to do anything, and that's okay. That's rewarding your body. I just want to rest. I just want to watch TV. I just want to hang with my parent or my sibling, whatever it is. And that's, in my situation, working in a hospital. But this translates outside, and I think it's very important to provide choices to children, especially at this age group. A lot of children are in, not everyone comes from a nice, safe, secure, typical upbringing, and some children aren't even aware that they have a choice or they have a voice. So just providing it in this movement, meditation, and mindfulness component can plant that seed that, oh, what I want does matter, and I can speak up and I can ask for X, Y, Z. And I think that's a very important tool. The self-reflection tool, of course, is one component, but also planting those seeds so that young adults and teens do understand that regardless of their situation, they can speak up, they can ask for more, they can have a choice and a voice in what happens to their body, what happens to them. So a sample intro for tween and teen session. I showed this same slide in the previous webinar for tweens, and it's very similar. It's, hey, let's, get the electronics away. We're going to put the electronics aside, silence them. Again, in my unique situation, and your situation may be similar, sometimes the teen may be expecting a call. Maybe they're in the hospital and mom is going to call, or they have to pick up their little sister and they're waiting for a call. So again, this is very subjective. So obviously common sense prevails, In those cases, I may encourage a child to keep the phone with them close by and on vibrate, so it doesn't disrupt the rest of the group or doesn't disrupt their session. If they are enjoying a guided relaxation and they want to be aware, hey, I am getting a call, but I will pick it up after this meditation in 5-10 minutes. Whatever the situation is very subjective. So again, that comes down to clear communication, which is very important when you're introducing and teaching anything, but especially the whole philosophy behind this program. And really, you want to make sure that a teen and a young adult understands this is not for your benefit, it's for theirs. It's like, hey, we're going to really get much more out of this relaxation experience if we move distractions away. Very important cue is just to remind kids, hey, we're all unique, only you are in your body. Our bodies have had different experiences and challenges. And so the way our bodies move is going to be different, and that's okay. So if something doesn't feel right, just because I'm asking you to do it, you don't have to do it. Just simply give me a wave and ask for a modification, and I'll work with you to find what works for your body. And that can just be a modification, adaptation, an alternate posture or stretch. Now, you may have the shy kids who still don't speak up despite giving this permission and introduction. So that's something where you need to be watching and being aware of, any discomfort or any forcing, and you can step in and offer a modification. And as I mentioned before, sensitive adults, so don't jump in and say, hey, you're doing it wrong, or this is better. Just, hey, this looks great what you're doing, but let's try this and see if that feels a little better. This is just another way to enhance it, or a different way to approach this stretch. And that way we'll kind of eliminate any chance of super self-consciousness, particularly in the group when there are peers around. So we're having fun, no judgments, just exploring different ways our body can move and breathe. And that's a really nice way of introducing the session and giving teens and young adults permission to be themselves and to relax and have fun and not put too much pressure on, and also be okay, especially at this developmental stage where from 13 plus to young adult, they can be at very different stages of development and very different stages in terms of mobility due to that. So being okay with that, and being okay with asking to change for another alternate stretch, or even to opt out. And I often will place that, hey, if you want to take a break and I'll demonstrate a child's pose or just a resting pose, you're welcome to. I'll include that, especially when I'm working with groups. So another sample, and we've talked about this a little earlier, choice. Choice is so important at this stage. So how are you feeling today? What practice would feel good right now? Do you want a nice, gentle, restorative stretch where it's kind of like passive stretching? We're using props to support your body and body position. You just get to fully relax, but you're still getting the benefits of stretching. Do you want a slow and steady stretch, an invigorating flow? You want to get up and move, challenging postures to help you focus, nice long guided relaxation, or a little bit of everything. Now, some teens and young adults are super active. They're playing a bunch of sports, they're high energy, and they may be wanting to go, 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 and asking to go, go, go. And that's another important point too. Sometimes I still want to expose those high energy kids to the slow, restorative, and nurturing, because it's very important to teach the relevance and benefits of slowing down and giving the body a break and taking a step back and recharging the iPad, for lack of better. And I think that's just very important to expose children to experiences they may not ordinarily seek out. And especially for this group where deep rest and stretching can be so helpful and supportive during these developmental changes. So let's do a quick recap before we break down a class that is designed for teens and young adults. So this is very similar as these sessions are designed very similarly as they are for adults. but sensitive adults. You want to nurture teens with patience, kindness, compassion, and understanding, and encourage them to do this for themselves. So I'm going to jump ahead and go down to ahimsa. It's the little green logo at the bottom. And ahimsa is a word from traditional yoga, and it means non-violence. It's one of the codes of yoga. I won't go too much into Sanskriti words, so I'm going to leave it at that. It's one of the codes or rules of yoga, and it's ahimsa. And ahimsa means non-violence. And I like to teach this to my teens and young adults, because when we think of violence, we think of, oh, don't hit something or kick something, or or assault, we kind of think of when we think of violence. But violence can just be the inner dialogue or the judgmental language we use toward ourselves. And some examples I've heard when I've been working with teens of, I suck, oh, I'm stupid, oh, my body sucks, I can't do this, I'm stupid, I'm XYZ, whatever. That's enough examples. I think you get the gist. So I encourage, when I hear that, like, just listen to that, how you're talking to yourself. Would you talk to a really dear, close friend like that? And this helps a lot, because usually the answer is no. Sometimes you'll get the smarty pants. It's like, yeah, I speak to my friends like this all the time. But truly, would you, if you were really wanting to help and support a friend who was being challenged, like, for example, this is just a yoga pose, but maybe your friend is in a challenging situation, would you be nasty to them and say you're stupid or you suck? No, of course not. And so just because it's a yoga stretch, it doesn't mean it's not something that's challenging for your body. So it just really helps teens, again, with that self-reflection and to be aware of that inner dialogue and how they're speaking to themselves. And then, of course, this will convey with how we start to treat others. It starts with how we treat ourselves. This also plants that seed. It's also helpful. It's like, no, your body doesn't suck. You're just growing. And there's a different way to approach this stretch that will work for your body. Let's explore it together. So it also encourages that awareness of asking for help and exploring other options so that we can be kind to our body as well. So teaching awareness of the benefits beyond the session. So really having those conversations and having encouraging dialogue with your teen and your young adults that you work with. Hey, where else can we use this technique outside of this session? Where do you see yourself applying this? If you find the one that works for them. And that's really important too. I work with a lot of teens one-on-one, and what works for one kiddo may not work for the next. So I really encourage kids to be honest with me and, hey, let's have a conversation. How did that feel for you? Did you enjoy that progressive relaxation technique? Did you like this style of stretching? If you didn't, let's explore some other types and find what works for you, because everybody's different, and that's okay. Really encourage leaving a large portion of this session for deep relaxation. And again, this is important to teach kids of all energy levels. Hey, this is okay. This is important. This is what your body and mind needs, like a gift of relaxation, and learning to give yourself permission for that self-care. Explaining the benefits of the poses, stretches, and the practices. And then again, this encourages teens to access these tools when they need them outside of your session. So if they know the why behind when they're feeling a certain way and they're self-reflecting, they know the why behind, or if they're just doing a body scan and being aware, oh, my lower back hurts, or I've been on my computer too much, they know what to do. And that's really important too. You don't just want them to benefit during the session, you want them to develop these movement, meditation, and mindfulness skills as life skills. So the recommended practice time for this population, 30 to 45 minutes of movement. Again, it's just like an adult practice, and up to 30 minutes of deep relaxation. They need it. There's a lot going on. So let's explore a sample lesson plan. So you'll see here, I have this lesson plan is for 60 minutes. Now, previously, in the previous webinar, we explored movement, meditation, and mindfulness for tweens. That's 9 to 12. That lesson plan that we explored was a nice general stretch with a little bit of flow. That works for this population too, and vice versa. So I highly recommend, if you didn't see that webinar, go back, check it out, because there's a valuable lesson plan that you can interchange really between the two stages or age groups. So this one, we're exploring a nice, more supportive and restorative, slow-paced session. So we have mellow pop or instrumental covers. We talked about music previously in a previous webinar for this age group. They like their pop music. Sometimes it's not appropriate. So I just find instrumental covers, and that way I'm not worried about language or just it being too loud or, you know, not relaxing. So you just find some mellow instrumental covers. They're easy to find. Or just mellow pop songs. And again, check the lyrics, check the message, check the language before you pop it into your playlist. And then props. So we have alternates, and there's a whole webinar on this too, under the title of Essential Elements. Encourage you to go back to explore those, and they will really help you with adaptations and how to support teens with different props. So we have alternate props here. So if you don't have bolsters, you can use cushions or pillows. Maybe you need those too. Blankets, large beach or bath towels can work as well. Straps, you can use belts, and then of course we have an eye pillow here. So we're starting with mindful breathing, and we have a technique called soothing breath, and that's where we place one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, eyes closed, and we encourage slowing the breath down. We cue slowing the breath down, and just the awareness of the subtle body movements beneath the hand on the chest and the hand on the belly that are made to accommodate each inhale and exhale. And it's kind of like a sensory style breathing technique. And then we become aware of each breath and slowing it down. So then we move into movement warm-up, because even when we're doing passive stretching, a gentle warm-up is so important just to iron the kinks out, so we can really get the true benefits of relaxing and surrendering and letting go, no tension in the body at all as we move into our passive supportive stretches. So here we have just some nice, simple warm-ups, a little bit of flow, cat-cow flow, cat-dog flow. And then we've got a warm-up flow. Again, these are explored in earlier webinars. Essential Elements includes an entire webinar on different warm-ups, from small body movements to full body warm-ups. I do recommend you go back and review those so that you can understand what they are and how to teach them. So I would include that, but maybe not linking one movement to breath vinyasa style in this case, because it is a slow restorative. I would just slowly move through a warm-up flow with perhaps longer holds and encouraging 3 to 5 breaths at each stage, just to slowly warm up the body and move it and iron out the kinks, but still approaching it from that meditative, slow, nurturing, connecting to breath, holding, relaxing into the body, feeling the body, being aware of the body kind of approach. And then we move into our restorative stretches. And this one, we recommend holding each pose for a minimum of 5 full rounds of breath, and maybe even more. I do a lot of restorative yoga with a private client who's about 17, 18 years old, and he holds his restorative postures for 3 to 5 minutes, just like most adult classes do. So absolutely just depends on experience and what you're looking for, the length of class. And you don't have to do all of these restorative stretches. You can pick and choose the ones that the individual kids you're working with need at that time and are most supportive to meet their needs. And then we finally end this session with meditation. So it's final resting pose. You want to make sure your teen is super supportive with pillows, blankets, an eye pillow, dim the lights, any music, anything that you can do to create ambiance and encourage deep relaxation. So for this one, I would do you could do progressive relaxation. You could do guided meditation. You could just allow them to rest and play some music, maybe some gong sounds or some chimes or some ocean sounds. You could play the singing bowl. Perhaps during a deep final resting pose and supported relaxation, you could guide a breathing technique. There's lots of different ways that you can encourage relaxation. And again, go back to the earlier webinars. We have lots of information in the earlier webinars. And you also have the book, the CDs and the books that I just showed earlier. And then an additional book is Teach Your Child Yoga. And this has a lot of those restorative stretches, warm-ups, and things like that in it too, that can really help you to create beneficial movement, meditation, and mindfulness sessions for kids of all ages. So that ends today's webinar. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to connecting with you at the next one. We will be discussing how to create sessions that are beneficial and supportive, and most importantly, engaging when you have mixed age groups of mixed abilities. So I look forward to exploring this subject with you. I will be sharing strategies I use when I teach summer camps for large groups of kids with a broad age range, but also with varying degrees of functionality and mobility due to having disabilities. So I will be sharing those techniques with you so you can find ways to plan ahead and be prepared for when you have a large, broad range of mobility in your session, and a broad range of developmental range, so that you can be prepared so that your sessions are still beneficial, they're still engaging, and they're fun for all the kids who are participating. I look forward to seeing you soon.